All right, let me give you all a review of my 2018 Triumph Street Triple R. This currently has, what do we have? 1,199 miles. I've looked for reviews and I found a lot of reviews and kind of bought the bike because I had a friend that had a, I believe it's an 11 or a 12 model Street Triple, and his was a 675 and this one's a 765. I wanted a bike that I could ride on a track, which I have yet to do with this bike. You know, the mileage is still a little low. I've probably had it about 6 weeks by now. And I wanted a bike that was comfortable enough to daily, but yet had enough low-end grunt that it was comfortable to ride in traffic. And I do a lot of start and stop. I go through a lot of stoplights. I believe I go through like 9 stoplights on my way to work every morning. And I wanted something that had enough low end. So as far as like a track bike goes, an R6 or a CBR 600 or something along that nature was kind of what I was looking at. But where I was getting in trouble was looking at the insurance. And I live here in East Texas, kind of between Dallas and Shreveport. And the insurance was just most bikes were just completely unaffordable. And this bike here was literally about 80% cheaper than any type of full dress crotch rocket. And honestly, I honestly feel like I'm just as quick, if not quicker than most of those smaller crotch rockets off the line, just because this bike has so much more low end grunt. As of right now, the bike is factory. The only thing I've really done to it is in the exhaust. There's 3 bolts. I took the whole catalytic converter and everything out off the bike, and there's 3 bolts on this, or 2. There's a few of them. There's not a whole lot. There's one underneath, and I believe there's one there in the back as well. And I took all the packing out of the muffler, and that's created a nice little tone. It's a little louder at idle, but it just gives a little bit more raspy sound. I'm gonna spend the money on an exhaust. Right now, all these exhausts for this bike are so new. I didn't want to waste my money and get something when I could wait 6 months and get something that would possibly be twice as good for about the same price. Right now, I really haven't had any issues with it. The only issues I've had is 2 leaks, which I think is kind of sad in 1,200 miles. This right here, I do not know what that goes to. I do not know what it covers. I don't know. Don't ask me, because I don't have a clue. But the gasket beneath this cover is weeping, and in fact, my hands are fairly clean. Wipe up underneath it, and see that's motor grease or whatnot. But according to the dealership, that's weeping. And another thing is this lower radiator hose here. That has a coolant leak as well. Of course, you can see all the little spots are on the floor from parking that thing in the garage with the coolant leak. It's not real fast, and I've topped it off once, and the dealer just kind of blew it off. He said it's probably nothing, just the temperature change, because right now I think it's about 39 degrees outside. And but oh well, what you do is just take it back eventually. And problem is, I take mine all the way up to Dallas to have it serviced. So for me, it's about 2 hours up to dealership, which don't bother me because service intervals are every 6,000 miles on this bike. Anything I don't like, what I do not like or was not a huge fan of, was the rear suspension. And honestly, the suspension setup factory was set up quite well, especially for my weight. But it just seemed for daily riding, it was just kind of harsh. It was a little harder than what I liked. And so what I did is I took the tension off the spring by 1 full rotation, and then I adjusted 1 full rotation softer on the top, and then I adjusted the bottom of the shock as well. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of at all is the rear brake. So I don't know why they did this, but the rear brake is only a little single piston. And honestly, the rear braking, if you're trying to save your life, ain't gonna do much. The front brakes, though, is some of the best brakes I've ever experienced on a motorcycle. And Honestly, the bike runs great. It rides great. It's got plenty of power. You know, I mean, it's comfortable. I'm 5'6", and I have a 27-inch inseam, and I ride this just fine. I mean, you can see my other bike, I got some fairly large motorcycles, and I grew up. My background was motocross, and I grew up racing. So at Swan Motocross Raceway, about 30 minutes from my house. And honestly, the bike, I have absolutely no problems with this. This bike runs great, smooth. It's been reliable other than the 2 leaks. I haven't had any issues with it starting or anything like that. Of course, it only has 1,200 miles on it. What exactly do you expect? But so we need to do a ride-along video is what we need to do. But I guess that's to come right now. The weather's just kind of crappy. It's pouring down rain all day today. It rained for about 10 hours nonstop. So, all right, we'll catch you soon.